This is Dano with Dano Seasoning. You're listening to the Big Fat Joey Show. Yum, yum, get you some.
Broadcasting live from the WGBB World Headquarters here in New York. This is the Big Fat Joey Show with your host, Big Fat Joey.
Hey, son. Good morning, Big Fat Joey. Big Fat Joey Show. Biggest thing on radio. What's up?
Big Fat Joey, another Sunday, and it's actually beautiful out.
I can't believe yesterday and today, 2 beautiful days. Not a sight of rain, not a drizzle, not a nothing. I can't believe it.
I'm so happy. This is like the perfect weather, so it's beautiful today.
We were out in the Hampshire yesterday, which we'll probably be out there a little later today, but it was a beautiful day yesterday. Sun shining. Actually, once again, little chilly in the
East End.
In the East End, but a little chilly in the shade.
Yeah, it was beautiful, and now there's a new San Ambrose opening up in East Hampton. We noticed.
You gonna cheat on our boys in Southampton? What are you talking about?
No.
What are you talking about?
But if we're on that area, like it's a good another stop.
Really? Really? Wow.
Well, it's the old Babette's, so I can't believe the Babette's is gone, but that used to be a nice breakfast place.
Yeah, nice breakfast place. And then I know they went vegan. Was that before or after the pandemic? I don't remember exactly when, but yeah, we went there a couple of times. Good food, good fun. You know, got to see a lot of celebrities.
It was so good, but now I guess it's even better.
Yeah, but you know, I'm concerned with the parking. I mean, East Hampton parking isn't as generous as Southampton. Well, East Hampton does have that big parking lot, I guess, behind the supermarket. So I guess if you want to park back there and just walk across the street, I guess I forget that big parking lot back there all the time.
But it's mostly street parking, I'd say.
Right.
You have to walk the strip.
Right. You have to walk the strip. So, but yeah, hopefully there was no sign as to when they're opening, but hopefully sooner than later. That'll add a little competition to the one and only Starbucks that's in town there.
Yes, I'm excited. It should be yummy.
It should. Speaking of yummy, what about that fish we got at Cittarella's yesterday?
Oh, wow. It was so fluffy. I can't even explain it. Like, I feel like once you have their fish, it's like nothing compares.
I don't know where they're getting it from. I don't know what ocean they're picking it out of. But that cod, the swordfish we got, the New England, I don't know, New Zealand cockles, not New England. I mean, everything is always excellent. It's just a good place to get your fish and whatever else. But you know, like everything else, the prices across the board: gas, food, fun, everything. Big.
It costs like $100 to fill the car.
Yeah, and the car is there's no gas sipper either. So I think we filled it yesterday, and I think just driving around out east, I think we already blew about $20 worth of it.
It's so crazy. But now there's no tax, right?
Yeah, so New York State dropped the sales tax on gasoline. I think it started either Wednesday or Thursday of last week, and I believe it runs through the end of this year, through December 31st. So what were they saying? I think they said that's about 16 cents less automatically, because I guess that's the tax per gallon, 16 cents. But
you still don't feel.
Yeah,
you don't feel that. I mean, you're feeling everything.
I'm not looking to be the one to look a gift horse in the mouth, but I mean, 16 cents is 16 cents, but I don't know.
I want to see like $1.
Yeah. I need to see it go from 5 and change to 4 and change. You know, go from $5.96 to $6.80. I mean, $5.96 to $5.80. I mean, yeah, every little bit helps, but $5.96 to $4.96, that'll definitely help, because everything's just getting way too expensive. And I did notice, I know we spoke about last time, I think a lot less people drove out east just to drive, because I guess if you have nowhere to be, nowhere to go, or something specific to see or do, you weren't going to go and waste almost $6 a gallon gas.
Well, from gas to shoes, let me tell you, I wore these brand new sandals all weekend, and I woke up like 2 days later with this huge rash on my foot. I can't believe it. And then obviously I went online to see like, what could this be? And apparently they treat certain sandals with like something to make the color. And now I'm like all rashed up. I had to go to the doctor.
Yeah, I don't know what you and your feet are just problematic. Unfortunately, you do have flat feet. So these sandals were working good. You wore them once or twice, and
no
you were loving
issues.
them.
And then I woke up like 2 days later. I'm like, it looks like someone burned me. So apparently, it's like some contact dermatitis issue from whatever the shoe was treated with. So I'm going to send those back to Amazon. It was a store, but it went through Amazon. So hopefully there's no issue.
Yeah, and they weren't cheap either. So hopefully Amazon / the store will take care of us. And it's a shame because, you have a hard time finding footwear in these. I didn't hear any complaints, not a peep. So I was looking forward to finally oh, good, something that's not going to beat up on your feet. But instead, it gives you a rash.
So now it looks like I have where the strap was across my foot, a red rash. I can't believe it. And it's itchy too.
Yeah, no, that's all right. You stay over there. Please keep your tootsies on your side of the room, and we're good to go.
Exactly. And what about those Rangers?
Whoop, whoop. Let's go Rangers. Can't believe Tampa Bay Lightning. So far, the Rangers are up 2-0. Hey, listen, Tampa Bay, they won the Stanley Cup the past 2 years in a row. Maybe it's not in the cards for them to win. Hopefully, if the Rangers wrap this up in the upcoming week, then the Rangers will go off to the Stanley Cup. Be the first time since 2014, and then before that, I think it was 1994, and I think before that it was 1944, somewhere in that range. So
yeah, I think
at least they're shortening their gaps between Stanley Cup showing. So yeah, exciting games. They're doing well, and they did a great. They played the Hurricanes a couple of weeks ago, and they came back from a deficit. So it's good that they're up. But, looking at the other end, hopefully being up doesn't mean the other team is going to come back like they've been coming back in the past series. But it's you're right over there.
I got my
drinking?
Coffee. Yeah.
You sure there's just coffee in there?
Yes, it's definitely just coffee. It's waking me up.
Waking you up? What's going on over there?
Allergies, everything.
Allergies. It's
a hot mess this morning.
It's a big snot fest over there. What is going on? Well, we have a great show today, everyone. We have a couple of great artists, musicians. We have a little bit of everything, and someone in the cooking arena. First and foremost on today's show, we have Dan Oliver, founder of Dano's Seasoning. I'm sure if you have TikTok, you've seen his TikToks out there. Guy was, a handful of years ago, young guy, he was looking to be a bartender, trying to figure out what he wanted to do in life. And one day, coming home cooking, his mom said, "Oh, we got, chicken thighs, do something with these things." All right. It's him and his buddy, a friend happened to be over. They're throwing some spices together, trying to figure out, let's bump these up a notch or two. Next thing you know, Dano's Seasoning is born. He's going to talk all about his seasoning, how tasty it is, and which everyone, for everyone, as we're getting older, speak to everyone, how, low sodium it is. I mean, and that's a big thing. You buy a lot of these seasonings out there on the supermarket shelves. Yeah, they all taste good, but if you look at the sodium content, wowza. Your one serving of some seasonings is like your whole week's serving of sodium. So Dan's going to talk all about Dano's Seasoning. Yum, yum, get you some. And it's great to have him on. Also, we're going to also speak with actress and cabaret singer Zoe Van Tieghem. She has a cabaret show tomorrow, Monday, June 6th at 8:30 p.m. at Birdland. She's going to be speaking about her show. Also, for those of you who are a little older, if you remember the movie Fame, she graduated from New York City's LaGuardia High School, which is the school that the movie Fame was made about. And I think that was like 1980. So she's on with us. If you'd like to get tickets, go to Birdland's website. Check out their calendar. Once again, it's Monday night, June 6th at 8:30 p.m. The cabaret show is called City Sounds. And then also today we have singer-songwriter Jasmine Jordan. We're going to be speaking with her about her new album, Intermission, and we're going to be listening to one of her songs, Late Night, off her album, Intermission. What else, Sin?
I think it sounds like you have a busy day this morning. Busy, jam-packed interviews.
jam packed into. Well, it's always fun to get that going. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, up next is my interview with Dan Oliver, founder of Dan-O's Seasoning. All right, everyone, let's welcome to the line owner, founder of Dan-O's Seasoning, Dan Oliver. Dan, welcome to the Big Fat Joey Show. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thanks for being on. Love your seasoning. Picked it up online through, everyone's favorite retailer, Amazon. If you can't get it on Amazon, I don't think you can get it anywhere. But loving your seasoning. Found you on TikTok where you're banging out food TikToks using your Dan-O's Seasoning. Pow, pow, pow. Seems like almost every day.
Every day I'm making a video. If I'm not shooting one, then I'm re-editing an old one or something. And, got to keep the content going. So
that you do. So tell us a little bit about Dan-O's Seasoning, who Dan Oliver is. How did it all come to be?
Well, it all came to be when, I'd always been in sales my whole life, insurance and then industrial electronic sales. And then I was like, I want to do something different. And I went and I wanted to be a bartender. So I was bartending for like 5 years. And after 3 years of that, I was like, I need to do something different. I got to change my life. I always wanted to own my own business, do something big. Mm-hmm. But all my ideas were always, $1 million to start ideas. And it wasn't until one day, I always loved to cook. My family told me I should be a chef and whatnot. And I was like, oh, that's not what I want to do. I don't want to be a chef. I don't want to work those hours. And, but I love to cook. And it hit me like a ton of bricks one day. I remember it like yesterday. It was January 2015. On a Monday, I came into my bartending shift at like 5 o'clock. There's one guy at the bar. There's nobody in there. The place is empty. And I brought in a whole chicken that I'd roasted using my seasoning. That wasn't called Dan-O's at the time. It was just some seasoning that I whipped up for the last 15 years of my life every time I made chicken. And so I brought it in, and there's one guy sitting there, and I said, man, you hungry? You want some of this chicken? I'm not going to eat it all. And he's like, yeah. And he took one bite of it and said, this is the best chicken I ever had in my life. Why aren't you selling it? And I was just like, it was my aha moment. I was like, that's it. Dan-O's. I'll call it Dan-O's. And then I remember working that whole shift. I couldn't wait to go home and like get on my phone and start asking Google and YouTube on how to figure out how to package a seasoning. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so that's how the idea came to be. It was a recipe that I used for 15 years, only on chicken. Never thought to package it. And then got that idea, and I was like, that's it. I had $8,000. So I literally started the business with $8,000, and then it took me about 2 years to get it into a bottle. And then once I did that, I figured out what was wrong with it. Like, oh, I need to change this, because I'm losing, to me, I'm like, I didn't start Dan-O's to be low sodium, all natural, no sugar, no chemicals.
Okay.
It was more like that just kind of happened. Like once I had the initial packaging, I realized like why people wouldn't buy the product or, too expensive or this and that and the other. And so I really I quit selling it to modify it, pivot and make it right for the market. And that's when I started putting low sodium and the no sugar and the non-GMO and gluten-free. And I'm like, why isn't anybody else, marketing their product like this? And why are there so many other seasonings that have so much sugar and salt and all that? You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I really found my niche, and I was like, this is how it's going to change the world. I'm like, it's totally different, tastes totally different than anything else. But now, I got this marketing power, it's low sodium, all natural, no sugar. It's just totally different than any other product on the market. And then after a couple trade shows that I did, I remember sampling the product. And this little old lady was standing there taking a sample, and she was, eating these mashed potatoes that I had the seasoning sprinkled on. She's like, that's damn good. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, it's low sodium, all natural, no sugar. She's like, no, it's damn good. And I still didn't get it. It didn't make sense to me. And I kept going on my sales pitch. And she's like, no, honey, you're not listening. He's like, it's damn good. And I was like, oh. So at that moment, that's kind of like when I knew the product was great. I knew it had a great name, and it has all these benefits: the low sodium, all natural, no sugar, no chemicals. You can use more of it. Get the flavor cooked into the food. It's not super salty.
Mm-hmm.
And then that happened where it was like, it was kind of like my second aha moment. I'm like, wow, Dan good. And then it's like, you don't know till you Dan-o. And Dan-o Mike, fantastic. Best Dan season you ever had. It just started rolling. And that's when I really knew I couldn't give up on something, because it's been a long road to get to where we're at now. But, I never gave up because I'm like, everything about the product was just like it was meant to be.
And it's a good product. I said, I've picked it up through Amazon. And this day and age of health consciousness and people eating right, you want to get away from the fillers, the sugars, the salts, the GMOs. Everyone's trying to get and you're a little ahead of the game with that because you realize, earlier on that people, didn't want that, and especially the salt. Unfortunately, heart disease, high blood pressure is a big killer here in America. A lot of, I would assume, I'm not a doctor, would have to deal with salt, but by cutting down the salt, and you mentioned it, less salt that there's in there, you can get more. You can put more on your food to get more flavor without really, hurting you in the salt content.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, what made you go to TikTok? I mean, it's kind of a self-explanatory question, but obviously TikTok, Instagram, those are huge platforms, and that's where I found you. I found you on TikTok. So, what made you say, I'm going to start using TikTok to get the word out?
Well, that's a big part of the story of where I'm at today, is because let's flip back to 2017 real quick when after I did all my repackaging, I started doing these little farmers markets and flea markets and trade shows. And that's how I was making my money. After I did the first little flea market, I did $3,500 in a weekend. I'm like, okay, this is how I make the business survive. So for the next 3.5 years, that's what I did. I traveled the country going show to show, hunting shows, state fairs, any little show I could find to go sell my products. So I was being successful. I was doubling my revenue each year in the business. Well, then, March 2020 came along and COVID shut down all the shows.
Right.
So I couldn't travel the country and I couldn't make my money. I can't make enough money to live off of selling out of the 20 grocery stores I was in. About 20 doors, not like
right.
Kroger's and Walmart. We're talking 20 stores, like individual. So you're not going to make enough money off of that to survive. And so I was like, basically I was stripped of my goals and everything that I had like set forth for the year 2020. I was hoping to do $500,000 in sales that year, and I couldn't because the shows were gone. Well, at that point, it was my plan B was to do TikTok. So I already had like, I think at that time, like March 2020, I had like 12,000 followers on Facebook, maybe like 5,000 on Instagram, maybe 1,000 on YouTube. So I had already been doing it for a few years, but it never really moved the needle for me. Well, so at this point was when TikTok was kind of like, I know Gary Vee is, and I watch him, and he's like, if you got a product right now and you're not on TikTok, you're dropping the ball. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do this TikTok because I don't have any other way to survive. Like, my business is going to fail.
Right. If you don't get the word out.
So, right. I mean, my only option was social media. I had no other option. So I met with a marketing company to revamp my website to make it better, to help me with a little marketing plan to like maybe grab some of the low hanging fruit out there, like using Facebook ads and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was working on that, redoing the website. But in the meantime, I'm making TikTok like 2 or 3 a day. And, I needed to do $200 a day to survive. And then one day I did this controversial kind of post. It was like I did crab cakes and I didn't use Obey. It was Dan-O's. And everybody's like, that's not how you make a crab cake. Right. So I think I upset half of Maryland. But, you know, that was like, that was like my first video that kind of went viral. And what happened is, you know, I was looking at the comments, and it was like 80% was like negative comments, but sales was like close to $1,000. So making, you know, controversial stuff and just, you know, raise the awareness for Danos. Well, then after a couple of weeks, you know, my comments that were negative because nobody had ever heard Danos. And, you know, at that time, my thing was like, you don't know till you Dano. You don't know till you Dano. You don't know till you Dano. So, you know, that was kind of like my reply to everybody's comments. And then it kind of started to catch on, and everybody, so after they were getting their orders, they were like, oh, wow, like it really is that damn good. You know what I mean? And so it really just, it caught on with TikTok, and I made a partnership with the marketing company, and we got super aggressive on TikTok, and we just, you know, you probably see a lot of people using it. You probably see a lot of ads, and that's because we're very aggressive on putting our money back into the marketing.
Well, you know what, and that's how you get the word out. And I see a lot of people, you know, obviously influencers and what have you. Yes, you know, if you have a product, and COVID really, you know, had a lot of people pivot. You know, couldn't do a lot, and a lot of people pivoted into different genres and different works and different types of money making business ventures. But for people like yourself, who already had a product, it was the next step, because, like I said, you couldn't go out to the market, you couldn't really go out and sell door to door, you know, or go, you know, knock on the big stores like the Krogers and the Wegmans and what have you to try to get them in the store. You know, you had to go online and get, you know, the average customer, you know, to buy retail, you know, over the internet. Yep. And that was a great idea. Like I said, I've tried your original seasoning on my food, and I do enjoy it. I'm a spice type of guy. I'm not a salt guy. I use a lot of different spices. I have a whole cadre of a cabinet here full of individual spices, but you know, your Dano's original definitely works. It's worked on anything I've ever put it on, and what I like about it, like I said, it's natural, no GMOs, very low sodium, and it's a you know, you don't know until you Dano, because it's a very good product.
That's right. And you know, now that we flash forward to where we're at now, we're actually in the process of going nationwide, you know, from the TikTok and from all the marketing that we've done, and gathering all the information and showing it to these big corporations, you know, the Walmarts and the Krogers and the Wegmans. Like, we're going into all these stores now, and we're going nationwide in Walmart and Kroger and BJ's. So you probably have a BJ's around you, I bet.
Right, we have BJ's and Walmart here in New York.
Gotcha. Well, you can find Dano's at Walmart will probably be in the next 2 months, and then BJ's, you can find Dano's there right now.
Okay.
So that just happened in the last couple months, and so, you know, it's cool that from, you know, where I started the product in 2015 to where I was in 2017 when I had to pivot, and then what happened in 2020 when I had to pivot there, to putting all the money that, you know, once the product took off, we put all the money back into growing the business, and now we're getting ready to go and be a national product. So it's pretty cool to look back on and just, you know, see what happened.
Yeah, see how you grew and how you, you know, it took your baby to fruition, and how, you know, now you're getting out there into these huge marketplaces as BJ's and Walmart and Kroger's. Now, Dan, how can my audience find, follow, and keep up with everything Dano's and get your great product?
Well, on all platforms, you know, TikTok's my biggest, YouTube's my second biggest, Facebook, Instagram, all of them, Reddit, Pinterest, we're just Dano Seasoning, the @ Dano Seasoning, and that's 2 S's. And also on our website, danoseasoning.com, that's where we have all of our hats and our merchandise and other cool little stuff. And if you ever want to keep up with like what we're doing, how we're growing the business, or if you want to check out our store locator, we have a store locator on the website, and that's danoseasoning.com. And then also Amazon and Walmart. And on Amazon, we are the #1 selling seasoning product in most categories.
Well, that's where I got mine, and I know why, because it is a tasty product. Well, Dan Oliver, owner, founder of Dano Seasoning, Thank you for being on the Big Fat Joey Show. I wish you nothing but luck and success in all that you do.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being on. We'll speak soon.
All right, take care.
Great interview, Sin. Yum, get you some. We have some Daniels in the cabinet. Tasty?
So tasty. And I'm ready to eat. Like, now I'm starving. I'm ready for breakfast.
I know. Little chow. Well, we'll figure out. We'll get something on the way out of here. All right, everyone. Up next is my interview with actress Zoe Van Tieghem. All right, everyone. Let's welcome to the show artist Zoe Van Tieghem. Zoe, welcome to the Big Fat Joey Show. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm doing well. We're here in New York City, enjoying this late winter. It's holding on like ice grip, but doing fine, doing even better now that I have you on the show with me. And I'm super, super excited to have you because, one, you are talented, and two,
Thank
you are a fellow New Yorker working your way through New York City, doing music, doing shows. You co-own a production company. You're doing a lot of things in a 24-hour day. And you also graduated from LaGuardia High School here in New York City, which, as for those who might not know, is the high school that the movie Fame, I believe in 1980, was made about. But before we get into all of that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who is Zoe?
Sure. Well, I'm Zoe. I was born in Hell's Kitchen, New York, almost in a taxi, but luckily inside the hospital. I grew up, both of my parents are artists, so I grew up around all kinds of theater and dance and photography and music and writing, and so I have a long list of amazing inspirations that I was able to witness growing up here, especially in theater and music. So that sort of is what kickstarted it all, and there really was just nothing else for me to do. I didn't know anything else. So here I am now with my own show, trying to make it work.
So tell me a little bit about the show. It's called City Sounds. It's at Birdland on June 6th. And what I'm super excited about is hopefully this thing called COVID is really winding down, because I'm really missing coming out and seeing performers like yourself in a real venue. Yeah, Zoom performances and things. Yeah, that was nice. I sit on my couch, sitting in my shorts, eating popcorn that only cost me $1 and drinking $1 can of soda. That lasted only for so long. I'm really want to get out there and see people like yourself. So how did it come to be? What's your part in it? Tell us a little bit about it. Give us the whole rundown.
Sure. Well, the show is on June 6th at Birdland. And it's a combination of a lot of different songs that have to do with my life growing up in New York. And all of my funny, bizarre, weird, heartbreaking experiences. And, there's some Ella Fitzgerald, there's some Beatles, there's some The Cure, there's some musical theater, there's some Bowie, there's Cole Porter, Oscar Levant. It's a very wide variety of music, as sort of to represent the very wide variety of experiences that I have had in the city. But yeah, it's going to be good. I have an amazing band behind me as well, that I'm really excited about, and maybe some special guests.
We love special guests.
June 6th. Me too. It's my favorite part, when other people get to do stuff. But yeah, I'm very glad to be back doing shows in person. It was a long time away from it, and I'm really, really excited to be back. I'm very glad to not be doing Zoom performances. With so much technical stuff that I'm just not cut out for. I just like to show up, get to the place, and do the thing, and then leave.
You know what? I'm a little older than you, but I'm the same way. I like to show up, and when my engineer's not around, and I see lights blinking and a flashing and a buzzing, I'm like, yeah, buddy. And yeah, in this business, and depending on what you wind up doing, you ultimately have to learn to be a little bit of a technician yourself, because you got to be able to troubleshoot things. But yes, I'm with you. I just want to show up. I want to interview people, talk to people. I don't want to know how this all works. I just want to hit the button that says record
Right.
on air.
I know. Now I know, how to be a lighting designer and a sound engineer and a cinematographer from, doing all this stuff at home. And I just never, I didn't ask for that, but here we are.
Now, speaking of learning things, and we mentioned before, you went to LaGuardia High School here in New York City, which is the famed school. Is the movie, which is now 42 years old, does it still have tentacles in the building? Is it still part of the culture there, or is it a long forgotten? That was those people back in the day, those kids. We're different now. We're
there are definitely still remnants of it. I mean, the idea is the same, right? You take all the most talented kids in New York and put them in one, pressure cooker, and all kinds of stuff happens, like it does in the movie. It's, a big part of the marketing. We all had sweatshirts that said like the Fame School on the back. It's definitely still part of the experience. There are things that are different. But there were certainly impromptu performances and people playing instruments in the halls and all kinds of stuff, people running around in costumes and all that. It was a really fun environment to sort of come of age in.
And I've read about it, and like you just said, it's a school that brings all the talented children from around the 5 boroughs of New York City, and really an incubator where you can not only hone the skill or skills you already have, but you develop new skills. You make some friends. You don't know who your classmate is. Who they're going to turn out to be. Next thing you know, you're sitting next to someone who's the next big thing in the movies or on TV or on radio. I think that alone must energize everyone to do their very best.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, I learned a lot while I was there. I'm grateful for it.
Now, the cabaret. How did this the show you're doing, City Sounds, how did it come to be? I mean, we've all had plenty of time on our hands these past 2 years.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was stuck with nothing other than myself and my voice and my stories. So I thought, I guess I should make something out of this, because there was nothing else to do. So I started compiling songs that I loved and that meant something to me and my story, and writing down experiences that I had and thought this could really be a show. And I tried it out in October. Once things were finally starting to open up again, people were vaccinated, we felt a little bit safer, and it went really well. And that sort of inspired me to keep going, to take it and run with it. I've always been a singer. I've always performed. I've done a lot of musical theater.
Okay.
I grew up around Broadway. My dad is a Broadway sound designer. So all kinds of things like my fetal heartbeat and my footsteps and me playing the trumpet badly have all been incorporated into Broadway shows. All different sounds that I've made, and sounds of the city, and ultimately, I've the ultimate sound of me is the sound of my voice. So I'm excited to sort of share that with everybody and share this bizarre experience that I've had.
Well, I'm excited to share it as well with my audience. So how can my audience, first and foremost, find, follow, and keep up with everything Zoe Van Tieghem, as well as get tickets to your cabaret show, City Sounds, on June 6th over at Birdland.
Tickets can be found at birdlandjazz.com. You can go to calendar, find June 6th, and there I will be. My website is zoevantieghem.com, and you can also keep up with me over on Instagram at Van Tieghem Zoe. So that's my last name and then my first name. I just say I'll post updates about rehearsals and how the show is going and little videos to get everyone excited.
Well, I know I'm excited. One, to see a talented artist like yourself, and two, to get out of the house. I'm tired of watching Zoom and TV and walking around my yard. So hopefully, this pandemic is on its way out, and I'm super excited to have you out live in your cabaret, City Sounds, on June 6th at Birdland. Well, Zoe Van Tieghem, thank you for being on the Big Fat Joey Show. I wish you nothing but luck and success in all that you do, and we'll speak soon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on. Have a great day.
You too.
Sin, isn't it great that live shows are back?
So great that everything's opened up again. Things are getting more normalized. And what talent, right?
Very, very talented young lady. And, every day she's always looking to hone her craft and do the best that she can do. But everyone remember, Monday night, June 6th, 8:30 p.m., City Sounds over at Birdland in New York City. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, as we go out, we're going to be listening to my interview with singer-songwriter Jasmine Jordan and listening to her latest hit, Late Night, off her album, Intermission. All right, everyone. This is Big Fat Joey. Big Fat Joey Show. Biggest thing on radio here with Sin, reminding everyone to make every sandwich count. Peace. All right, everyone, let's welcome to the line singer, songwriter, and New York transplant, Jasmine Jordan. Jasmine, welcome to the Big Fat Joey Show. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. Happy to be in New York City.
Well, we're happy to have you. So excited to hear about everything that you do, and especially your upcoming project, Intermission. But before we get into that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're coming from, how you got involved in music, and how you wound up where we are today?
Absolutely. So I started doing music at a very young age. I'm from Lacey, Washington. I'm actually a military child, so I was back and forth between California and Washington State. But I would say I grew up in Lacey, Washington, and just really had a love for music from a very young age. Moved to LA in 2012, and that was really the beginning of my solo career. From that moment on, it was really just, connecting, creating, being inspired, figuring out kind of where the direction I wanted to go as a solo artist. And I met my producer, Andre de Santana, in 2013. We started making music then, started writing and just really building that relationship. And then I released my first single, Time Travel, in 2014. The first EP came top of 2015, and we did a couple mini tours, West Coast tours. We did make it to New York City in 2000, I believe it was 16. But we did a lot of shows. I released, this is actually my third EP. Intermission is the third EP with a few different single releases in between. But I did take, I would say, about a 5-year break from releasing an entire project, like a full project between the time between Things Change, that EP, and then Intermission. There was about a 5-year gap, and that was really just to be re-inspired, living life, kind of traveling, getting the experience and everything else that would come to really help birth Intermission, So this project means a lot because I've done a lot of growing up. I've gotten a lot of just life experience in that 5 years that would inspire the writing and the vision for Intermission.
Well, you know what? Sometimes you need that. You need to recharge. You need to get some
Absolutely.
new ideas, new experiences, because that's what art is all about. Art is all about experiences. And to get that, sometimes you need to take a little time off and, reload the cassette player, as I like to say, and, get that all rocking and rolling so you can have new ideas to bring out new music, new experiences, new projects. Now, speaking of projects, Intermission, tell us a little bit about that and where you got the title from.
Yeah, so the fun part about this project was that it was the most organic thing I've ever created. And what I mean by that, I'm an independent artist, so we really do have the freedom to, kind of experience the creative process in a very organic and flowing way without there being multiple deadlines. But even within that, in the past, I have still created these deadlines that I think have been, that have definitely just thrown off the flow of things sometimes. And so with this project, we just went into it, for the producer and I, we went into it really very clear on what it is we wanted to create. And I just wanted it to be the most honest body of work that I had put out to date. And I wanted it to encompass, the various pieces of life and the journey that I was experiencing. So of course, I'm an R&B singer and songwriter. So just like any other genre, I would argue, like love is the number one topic, but also challenging the songwriting and the different ways that love shows up in our lives, whether that's self-love, love within other relationships, of course, the romantic love, but also friendships and how you show up, loving yourself and choosing yourself, but then also choosing to uplift other people and what service looks like in community. So we went in creating the music, just writing without any guidelines, without any boundaries. And then from there, looked at the songs that we had written, chose the best 8, the strongest 8 that we were most passionate about, and then continued bringing in the musicians, working out the music pieces, kind of correcting whatever lyrical pieces and elements of the music we needed to go back and do, and then recorded it. And Intermission, the title of it actually came after the music. So that, again, was kind of intentional in really not having to feel like I had to stick with any particular set of rules, and just creating the music and then coming back and looking at the body of music, looking at the way I was feeling, what life was in this moment. And Intermission came up in conversation with a friend. And, it really is a play on the word intermission. So like I just told you, and like you just said, Joe, right? Like realizing that sometimes you have to reset the cassette. Mm-hmm. You have to take life intermissions sometimes along the way to make space for new things to come up. And so Intermission is really the individual journey that each of us are on. It's making a decision to focus on how you can become the highest, healthiest, and happiest version of yourself. And so Intermission is really this journey that I've been on. It's one chapter of it because it never stops, right? So it's really this particular chapter of my life where I explore love, life, therapy, self-love, not having the answers, imperfection, embracing imperfection, and how that plays into, all the things that life so beautifully will have come up in your path. Some of those are very painful lessons. And then some of those, even in the painful lessons, I would argue, typically something beautiful is birthed after it, but you just have to be willing to stay on the journey. And that's really what the title means.
And, I think that's a big part of life, to stay the course, stay on the journey. Because, as I like to use the phrase, sometimes life gets in the way and you get sidetracked and, you're trying to do A, B, and C. And next thing you know, you're off to D, E, and F. And you're like, oh, what happened to A, B, and C? And things just happen that way. And,
yeah.
And with love, it's such a magical, mystical word because, like you said, you have your self-love, you have romantic love, you have your love of life, love of doing something, love of helping people. You have, the love of an animal and the animal's love towards you, dog, cat, lizard, mouse, bird, whatever you have. So it's all that, what conjures in your mind what love really is. It's up to the individual person to decide what love is and how it's going to affect and transform their lives.
Yeah, well said.
Now, when is Intermission coming out?
So Intermission, the initial EP came out December 4th, believe it or not, 2020. But this mini documentary, this visual pairing that we have with the EP is coming out this summer. I actually haven't announced the official date yet, but that will be coming in the upcoming weeks. I'm very excited. We shot it during the pandemic, which has so much meaning. Again, right, everything kind of being pieced together the way that it's supposed to. So much of that you have absolutely no say over. You just kind of have to be the vessel and do what you feel like you're being led to do. And then all these other things come up, like a pandemic, which obviously none of us were anticipating. But that allowed, I think, the space and opportunity to really dive even further into that title, Intermission, right? I'm back in Washington State, the place where I grew up, where I was raised. And we put together a very tight team because obviously it was the pandemic, so there was no other way of being able to shoot anything. And we came back to my stomping grounds and explored the area even in new ways than what I had experienced growing up, and just really went out in nature, captured the beauty of the state of Washington and took the opportunity for me to really explore and kind of share more about who I am, what motivates me, who I am as a human and as a woman, as a person today, right? And so the actual documentary was shot in 2020 as well, but now we feel like it's the perfect time for us to really discuss and bring to life a visual pairing to this project. I also will be releasing an extended version of Intermission, the EP. It'll have 3 new songs from the original release. And that's been a beautiful process too, of just kind of getting back in the studio, writing some new music, and being inspired to share more of the intermission that I'm on, right? Which again, that was chapter 1. There are plenty more chapters coming.
Yes, life is full of chapters, and if nothing else, these past 2 or so odd years have definitely upended many people's bookshelves and the chapters of their lives. And, this is a great time to get some new perspective on, what's happened, what's going to happen, and what continues to happen. So for everyone who's listening, how can my audience find, follow, and keep up with everything Jasmine Jordan?
Yes. So I have a website, JasmineJordanMusic.com. And Jasmine, Jasmine. I know sometimes there are fancy ways of spelling it, but that is how you spell mine. JasmineJordanMusic.com will take you everywhere you need to go. There will be my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube links. But as far as the social media platforms, you can find me there, The Real Jasmine J. And I'm very active. I try to be as active as possible on all of them, but especially Instagram. And the website will actually, there's a sign-up list where you can be on my mailing list. And this year we're preparing a lot of new things to follow the mini documentary release. So please sign up on that and stay connected with me, and we can do this journey together moving forward.
Well, that sounds great. Singer-songwriter Jasmine Jordan, thank you for being on the Big Fat Joey Show. I wish you nothing but luck and success in all that you do, and we shall speak soon.
Yes, Joe. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
He felt some type of way when I said I needed space. He stormed off so crazy, I went out dancing anyway. Lost track of time, Stayed out, goodbyes were raised behind. Can't control what's not in your control. Let all that shit go, right on out the door. Yeah, I'm stepping out on a late night trip with my head down on a green light tip. Yeah, I'm stepping out on a late night trip with my head down. Gonna be a late night. Gonna be a late night. Gonna be a late night. Confronted with bad news. Not today, no more. I won't pick up my phone. Life is so short. Stay present, one day at a time. Hustle and motivate. Now it's your time to shine. Can't control